And we're live. Egal's in the building. Big up everybody tuned in, whether it's mid-season, pre-season, or off-season. The content still has to content. We're going to go over Thierry Henry's comments. We're going to have a quick review of the season, a bit of transfer business, and then he's off to his own platform, people. Again, we're going to go over there as well. Dan Potts and him, I'm sure they're going to have plenty to talk about, man. Egal, what you saying?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hope you're doing well.
You still ill?
What?
You still ill?
I don't know, man. It keeps coming back.
On a serious note, you might want to get that checked out, bro, because the last time we spoke, you was under the weather.
That was what? Last week, Friday?
Yeah, it's been, man.
They say if it's 3 weeks, then you go to the doctor.
Yeah, by God's grace, there's nothing serious. You just picked up a little bug or something, man. But yeah, man, obviously.
My wife also sick.
Pardon?
My son and my wife also been sick. Like one.
Oh man, that's shit.
It keeps coming back.
It's probably just a little bug, man. Don't worry. We're gonna go over to Thierry Henry comments. Please be respectful to my guests. I don't know how they get on other platforms, but I look at my own platform like people are coming to my house. We look after our guests here. We might disagree, but it's never disrespect. Before we get into the Thierry Henry comments and all the transfer news and isms and schisms, yeah. Before I even get into this on the screen. Now that the dust is settled, how do you feel about the season, man? We see Chelsea go and win a trophy, Spurs win a trophy, other teams go and do what they needed to do. We ain't got nothing. There's been highs and lows. It's over now, man. Where you at mentally with Arsenal now?
Acceptance. It's over. What can we do? We can't cry over spilled milk. We can't get mad over something that's already happened. At this point, you just have to move on and try to look forward. But that's me maybe taking a positive approach. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna have my eyes on this window, and it's gonna tell me everything I need to know about the direction the club is headed in, because they're talking a lot of talk, but they need to walk the walk this window. Because if they don't go and get what's adequate, like Deluded, there's two ways we can do it. We can go and get heavy hitters and spend money on heavy hitters, and then understand if we don't have squad depth, because we then went and spent big on the areas we need. But then or we might go cheap and buy everything we need, but still have like
a blend of the two.
Yeah, or the blend of the two. But either way, I cannot see Leroy Sané and friggin' Gyökeres and Zubimendi be our only signings of the window and be like, yep, that's it, boys. We're good to go. No, it's not good enough.
Fair enough. I want to keep the thoughts on the transfer window when the time comes in it. But
the season itself, a
better question for you as well, Egal. Yeah, on top of what you're gonna say, like when it's all now that it's all said and done, like what do you put this season down to as to we ain't got over the line?
People are gonna hate this, but
who cares if they hate it? Say your truth, my guy.
With the most injuries in the league, it's almost impossible to go on to win the league.
Okay, injuries. Is that one of them, or is that the overriding?
I'm really putting it down to injuries, and these guys still showed the perseverance to try to get as far as they could. It got to a point where we couldn't handle the injuries anymore. I'm not even going to talk about the referees. I think in 2025, 2026...
talk about them, but I want all your reasons as to why you think the season didn't pan out, bro.
Going forward, I realized the referees are a mafia. Deluded, I don't know if you know this. They've been going after content creators, trying to wrongfully ban them or get their accounts shut down.
Wait, say that again.
Since the beginning of this season, the PGMOL and the Premier League have been going after content creators who've been using Premier League images or videos to dispute refereeing decisions.
So they're copywriting them essentially.
So they're copywriting them for using it to talk about refereeing decisions, or basically they're saying it's unfair use. You're using this to create criticism of our own product. So I'm like, at this point, they're literally trying to silence people for talking about the mistakes that they're making. So I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just done. Fuck the referees. I really don't like the whole referee conversation anyways. We just need to go. We know that everyone's against us. We just have to go and do it.
I'm happy you said that. Because a few months ago, what did I say to you? I said, as much as the refereeing thing is all there, bro, we're Arsenal fans. We've seen this, how our unbeaten record ended. And I'm sure every team will cry about the refs, even down to Sunday League. You have to expect referees to be dead. So if we park referees at one side, injuries, that's two factors. Is there anything else as to why this season didn't happen? Transfers as well. You kind of alluded to that.
Sorry for the language.
Come on, man. Egal, you can say
There
what you
might be
want, man.
kids watching, you know.
Well, hey, well, my highest demographic is 25 to 34. So big up the kids if they're watching. And again, we're football fans. I know football's gone away from the average man and woman, but the noise on the terraces, the noise that the players are saying, well, foul language can be used. And I don't think you've got a potty mouth. So yeah, man, do your thing. So what?
Do you
Obviously, the
want me to answer
summer.
the question for the
Go on.
awards?
Pardon me?
Do you want me to answer the questions for the awards? Because I think those are quite straightforward.
What
The goal
awards?
is Declan Rice. Performance of the season is definitely
Wait, slow down. All right, because you messed it up, we're gonna go from downwards upwards now, innit? Goal of the season, you said Declan Rice. Guy just messed up the whole pattern.
No,
Go
because I
on.
think it's better working your way up to player of the season, no?
But in line with our season, it's just gone down, innit? But yeah, goal of the season, you said Declan Rice. Which goal? Because people, I
The
don't
free
know.
kick, the second one.
That's the one I went with.
Yeah, second free kick. It would have to be Real Madrid away performance, I would say.
Oh, not Real Madrid at home.
Because for us to go to Real Madrid away and win, I think
I hear it. For me, it's more the shot factor at the
and
Emirates,
close
though.
out the tie 5. What was it? 5-1. That's impressive. So a 2-0 away, I'm loving it. Then the disappointment of the season has to be Martin Odegaard, I would say. But at the same time, I do think the disappointment of the season is Martin Odegaard because he got injured. We did not get to see the best of him, and I feel like he was playing through the injury, and we only got to see the best of him the last couple of weeks where he started picking it up again. So hopefully,
Could you not say Arteta? Disappointment of the season.
You know me, I'm not going to do that. But some people might say Arteta. I'm going to say Martin Odegaard. I think the players let down the manager this season. I think the manager's
What? Come on, what?
I think the manager's done a really good job, Deluded.
What?
And
the players have let down the gaffer.
I've said it so many times.
Not the gaffer letting down the players.
What you could say that Arteta did wrong is probably not enough squad rotation. But overall, I think Odegaard would be the disappointment.
I hear that, but then in the player's defense, yeah, just purely being devil's advocate, I think for me, do you know what I would say? Yeah, you see, disappointment of the season, it's a bit of an open-ended one because when it's down to how you interpret it. Obviously, you've gone over and said, Martin Odegaard, so you've gone with a player. I hear that. For me, it's more the fact of that we just didn't win a bit of silverware. It's another year where there's nothing to really scream and shout about, yeah, but. I might disagree with you because I always say we're all in this together. Win, lose or draw, we rise together, we fall together. I'm not with this blaming everybody for one singular thing. Everybody's got a part to play in as to why our season went out of there. Yeah. I'm not in the boardrooms. I'm not bringing Berta into this because you've just walked in. Edu's gone. It was clearly a mess in the summer. Those above Mikel Arteta, they told me everything I needed to know. He didn't sign anyone in January. It's pretty crystal clear how I feel about those above. Yeah, Mikel Arteta, I do think there's a bit of adversity. I'm not happy to finish second, but if anything, you've maintained. I look at Mikel Arteta in the last 2 years. The first year we fought for the league. Great attacking football. Last year, there was improvements, great defensive football. I don't think I've seen an evolution in that regards. I don't think I've seen him have an ability on a consistent basis to pivot in-game when things go left, to be a bit more pragmatic, to just change the dynamics, to make subs, of course, subs have worked, but a bit more proactive. I don't feel he's evolved. Now, where I look at the players, of course, as you said there, Martin Odegaard stunk up the gaff. Players are the ones playing, etc. But I've seen players rush back from injuries. I'm not even blaming Arteta with this necessarily. This is just when people say players don't care. They've rushed back from injuries. Timber's played a lot of minutes, for example. I have a newfound respect for someone like Kivio. You're nowhere near Magalhaes. You've come in and stood tall. Young 18-year-old Lewis Skelly. If you remove the romance from Marino playing up front, that is a centre mid playing up front against the biggest team in club world, in the world, really, biggest club team, playing up front and doing well. I disagree with that. And then even in January, they've been ran into the ground. You've seen the amount of hamstring injuries, Riz probably owed that. How can you say the players have let down the gaffer? I'm not even saying to blame Arteta, but surely, if anything, Mikel Arteta and those above him have let down these players as well as the fans this year. Surely.
I'm looking at the finishing versus Newcastle. I'm looking at the finishing versus Manchester United. I'm looking at the games where we had numerous games where we absolutely had the team battered and down 2-0, and we
I
threw
agree.
it away like Aston Villa at home. There are a lot of games throughout the season, Deluded, where the players have let down the manager. Now, if you want to say in the totality of the season, there has been issues on both sides. Yes, there's definitely been issues on both sides. But I personally would say this the bigger disappointment of the season would be overall obviously not winning, and it's a collective mistake. It's not just
Facts.
down to the manager or the player, but I'm looking at it from the perspective that Arteta has been overachieving with a squad that's been injured.
Oh, fuck off it. Cow, man. It's all banter. Come on. Don't
Come
start
on,
that overachieving thing, my
you
guy.
know what I said. You know what I said
I
in
know, but don't
January.
start that stuff,
You know what
man.
I
But
said in
go on,
January.
man.
You know what I said in January, and I still stand by it.
Say it again for those who
From
don't
when
know.
he got the injuries and the amount of refereeing decisions and everything that went against us, I do think it's surprising that we finished the season in second. It's surprising that we finished third in the Champions League group. It's surprising that we got to a Champions League semi-final. Now, if we were to go on to win something, it would have been a miracle, I would say, based on the amount of issues we've had this season. But fair play to the team. They've tried to persevere. The manager, I think tactically he did well. I don't think it was a tactical mistake on Arteta's part throughout the season. I do think just sometimes we did come short because of the players and other issues, and it's not really down to the manager.
All right, let me flip that, yeah, because I think you're right. But being devil's advocate, in the same way you praised the manager for us not effing up in January or whatever you referred to, right? The players were the ones that mucked together. Surely we saw players playing out of their skin, etc., etc. And then you mentioned the lack of goals in it. Like we knew that last season. I know I'm not talking about the season that's just done. We knew that last year. We knew what we needed to do in the summer. So surely the players have been ran into the ground. They've got to a point where we need a bit more injection. I can criticize individuals, but then I look at certain things. You know me, I'm a massive fan of Martinelli. Clearly, he's not doing the business. I'm a good fan of Trossard. But me and you both know when you go to August, yeah, or like we're gonna go into August into this new season, exclude new signings. Saka is the only one you expect to do it for the majority of the season, right? We needed a striker. Surely that them kind of things about not putting the ball in the back of the net, going back to even when we lost to Bayern Munich and all the language came out about needing X factor. Surely that is down to the manager or whoever has a hand or a collective say in recruitment rather than the players, because the players have hit a brick wall. So with the look at the way we've built the squad, I genuinely believe, yeah, I don't think we're as amazing as some people go on about. I don't think we're as terrible as some people go on about. I think we're a good team. The challenge of it now is to become a great team. If we want to get to semi-finals, have little good days out against Real Madrid and all of that, we've got enough, you know. But you see, if you want to go to the next level, it's more, you need more than Martinelli and Trossard, who, with the greatest of respect, purple patch players. They're going to have good and bad moments across the season, not necessarily do the business. I don't need to tell you about depth. I don't need to tell you about the strikers. Romantic, and I'm happy for Marino. We've got another centre mid playing up front. How can you blame the players? Because they're not the ones, surely, like, they haven't created this squad. Surely it's down to Mikel Arteta and those above him, bro. Surely the players have been let down this year.
The reason why we lost
Surely.
in the semi-final versus what do you call it, PSG finishing, that was one of the main reasons and why we didn't get past them. The reason why we lost in the semi-final versus Newcastle at home in the first game, finishing and poor defending. When we lost in the final or semi-final versus Manchester United, finishing, poor penalties taken. Deluded. 3 tournaments we went out in this season was really down to players' poor performances in the final third.
But you could have said, you see that sentence you just said there, yeah? If I was to play word association bingo, and I said, part that was that said in 2024-25 season, or was that said in the season before, I think people would apply it to both. If nothing changes, nothing changes. I genuinely, honestly believe a lot of the issues beyond the obvious, the major factors as to why it's another year we haven't got over the line, is because we haven't learned from the previous season around depth, around what I said about attackers and whatnot, around having different dynamics. Like, we keep the same things keep shooting us in the foot. I don't think you're wrong, because on the pitch there are times man are not scoring and whatnot. But unfortunately, good and bad, and I don't want no one to misunderstand me. I'm not criticizing the manager alone. A team's a reflection of the manager. So when we win and with field tilt and all of those things are down to the gaffer, true. But when it goes left, there's this. We look in the final third, in which I genuinely believe defensively, I'm fucking with it. Pardon my language, Arteta. Midfield, I think it's more personnel, but I'm here for it. The hardest thing to do in football, as you know, is score goals. A lot of it is down to recruitment, but a lot of it's down to tactics. And I say that because obviously you alluded to it, you know, whether we get them or not, we're linked with Rodrigo and Gyökeres and this one and that one. We clearly need reinforcements. But do you genuinely believe, based on kind of what you've alluded to, that you slap a better left winger, a better striker, well, an informed Odegaard, and everything's great in the attacking sense? Surely there's a lot tactically to address.
Yeah, you know what? There is more that we can address, but at this moment in time, going back to the main point, the reason why I say disappointment, Odegaard went from a situation where he was one of the best players in the league to where this season people are saying he should be dropped in certain games. The reason why I'm saying the players, I'm looking at Kai Havertz missing gilt edge chances after gilt edge
Oh, we knew
chances.
this the year before, man. It's
I know
Arteta putting him
I
up
know we knew
front,
this,
bro.
but Deluded. When we speak
Odegaard's
about
come
this,
back from an injury as well, Egal. Not to blame that, but this is my point. The players have really, really tried. They've been let down. We haven't had to be able to take out players that are underperforming because of what we didn't do in the summer. But go on, man. I cut you.
I'm not putting it on Arteta. If you want to put it on the board, you could put it on the board. But I think there's been numerous occasions where we were set up well tactically, we're in a winning position, they threw it away. Is that fully down to tactics, or is that also down to some of the
No,
players?
it's a collective thing. So what are you specifically putting down to Arteta? Because you've mentioned the board, I have as well. Mentioned the players, I have as well. I've been a bit
I would say rotation and some of the injuries, you can blame him. Fair play. Like there's been a lot of times where I've said, you know what, we can't put blame on him for injuries, but you actually can. If
just injuries for this season with Arteta.
No, you can blame him for injuries. You can also blame him for not trusting certain players' rotation, also not giving Ethan and Mazu Skelly more running earlier, trusting your squad. He does have issues. He's not perfect, but I am not absolving him of blame, but at the same time, I'm not putting all the criticism on him this season.
And what did you say there, Gal? That's where I'm trying to have this conversation. You can't just blame just Arteta. I'm not saying you are, but just the players, just Arteta, just the board. We're all in this together. Of course, if you look at the injuries, you might be able to put that a bit more down to Arteta, but then you could caveat that and say, obviously, if the physios are saying they can play, they can play. My point is the board, the owners, Arteta, they're damn players. Everybody has to go and look in the mirror and think about what they want to do. The bubble has burst. I'm not that we've been living in a bubble, but I wouldn't even say, what was it? Was it? I think it was the season before the one that's just gone. We scored 100 goals. People were saying we shared the goals around, and a lot of it was true. Set pieces. The first year we was used to them set pieces, but we still said, apart from Bukayo Saka, where the goals coming from. And this is my point. Everybody has to hold themselves accountable. Players have got to evolve. Arteta's got to evolve. And I can't lie, we need to cut the dead wood. The owners and anyone above them too. I'm looking January. I keep saying it, bro. January, you lot told me everything I need to know. You lot didn't really want to win nothing. You were cool because the fact that you was going to get top 4. If this was another club, like I know we're not Real Madrid, but let's just consider the fact that we were Real Madrid, right? I know we're Arsenal, but we're Real Madrid. And let's just say, for argument's sake, we saw what we saw in January. Arteta said, I don't want to sign anyone because of these injuries. Let's just humor me and say that, yeah. A serious club is going to say, Arteta, you're smoking something special. Our bodies are dropping. We need more players. It just seemed like we was just existing. And then what did you see in January? Predictable, more injuries. I personally think we was running out of steam. Looking back in hindsight, any sort of juice that the manager had left, the players had left, the clubs had left, the fans had left, it all came to a head in those 2 games against Real Madrid, bro. But it's a shame, man. But again, it depends where you fit. It depends where you kind of fall, man. But yeah, man, you mentioned goal of the season. You gave it to Rice. Performance of the season, you said Real Madrid away. I went with home. Disappointment, you went with Martin Odegaard. If you're pressing me for a player, it's a toss-up between Martin Odegaard and Martinelli. If I'm honest with you, probably Odegaard, because at least Martinelli scored in a couple of big games. Overall disappointment for me, it's the fact that we never won a trophy.
You answered the question
and the draws. Pardon me?
Unsung hero, you basically answered the question. You know that, right?
I know who mine is.
Yeah, we both have the same one, Mikel Moreno.
Yeah, only because of the next one. Yeah. And you know me, I've been wrong about a lot of players. One guy I've actually backed is Marino, not because I think he's amazing. I think we should have went for level raisers rather than depth, but I think because of the hype and the tactical saying he's going to do this and that, he had a tough time, and he was an Arsenal fan, and it's nice, man. You can see he's a bit of a confidence man. He's feeling more at home, man. So yeah, I mean, can we really put him as an unsung hero, Egal? Because everybody's rating his thing now, isn't it?
No. People were not rating him. People were saying, why did we sign him? The moment he started banging in goals up top, they're like, yo, we actually did maybe sign a striker. Maybe we did sign a good player. People are now saying, you know what? I could see him being a box crashing midfielder for us next season. I could see him doing this. I could see him doing that. I'm seeing more credit being given to him. So I think he deserves an unsung hero. If you want to say somebody else, like Timber or somebody like that, maybe fair.
Could you
He
say
also
Raya?
stepped up big time. There's a lot of people we could give credit to, but the thing is, we kind of as a fan base are kind of like, you know what? Don't be too positive about the season because we ultimately did not reach the goals we wanted to reach.
We didn't. Like that's it. Like that's it. I'm obviously people can sit here and say, "Oh, we got the same amount of draws as Liverpool. I mean, losses as Liverpool," which is true. And naturally, we need to look at that. But it's the draws, man. I've got that to just. You can't have 14 draws and expect to win a title. So, I mean, and this is the level. I'm not even criticizing anyone, but
You can't win the league without having some sort of bagsman.
You can't. And this is the questions that need to start being answered, bro. Like we need to really look internally if we're going to reach the next level. We need to go beyond just talking about we've dominated possession, field tilt, we're the best team in the Champions League. Year before last, we're the
Alex
best
is
in
on
the
a bad
Prem.
one whenever
Get
he
over the line. Pardon me?
Alex and Babs do that for fun.
Big up them, man. No, but that's cool. You can be. We all know the best team doesn't always win trophies and whatnot. But I just feel we're never at this right stage of these fine margins. Like we're never on it. That's the next step.
We're not on the right stage of these celebrations. That's what really pisses us off.
That's the right stage. That's where we need to be. Like we need to get into a scenario where we're dominating possession and we get over the line, or we have scenarios where don't really happen too often. But you look at them lot down the road with the amount of shots on target, and statistically, United will probably had a lot more shots than that in the final. They're walking away with it, doing their parades. We need to be on the right side of history now because I genuinely believe collectively as a squad, I can criticize these players. Player for player, squad for squad, it's probably one of the best kind of squads we've had in the Emirates era. Like there was a time we all would have died for one of Saliba, of Gabriel Magalhaes, of Timber. Now look,
probably the best, man for man.
So they need to create history. And Arteta, you've been one of the, well, not that there's been many, but you've done what you need to do for this football club during the Emirates era. You need to go down in history because I'm kind of in the middle. The way I differ with someone like yourself here is a sense of I actually share a lot of what you say about Mikel Arteta, but and I'm not saying you're not. I am an Arsenal fan, and for me, if I rate you, I can't always find mediocre excuses because I don't think you're a mediocre manager, and I think there is a legit conversation around why you're getting over the line. But let's save that, man. We're going off task. So we've done goal, performance, disappointment, unsung hero. We went with Merino, most improved player.
Most improved player is Kivior.
100%.
I think.
Anyone else? I'm trying to think. You could say Merino, but then he's already been given the title.
Kivior is the most improved. And if I was to say another player who could be in that category, there's not really anybody who's made a big jump. Everyone kind of had one of their worst seasons besides Kivior and Timber.
Everyone?
No, I mean like everyone who was poor or everyone who is good already, who could have improved further, did not really go to that next level, except for the center backs and like Raya. You could say Raya improved.
I'd be forcing it, but I would say in terms of your availability, and we've not been used to a consistent Thomas Partey. Maybe you've been an unsung hero. I'm sorry, most improved player. I wouldn't quite say Rice, but I think he was like 5, 6 out of 10 first half of the season. Second half, he's been absolutely mustard, as you know, the goals and everything else. So you could say that, but it feels a bit forcing it. Kivior, including me, people weren't really gassing him too much. I think he deserves all his plaudits. And even with the news coming out today that we think Magalhaes and Timber are going to be back for pre-season, but the journalist said something around the language was the same around White. I don't know if that affects us selling Kivior if he wants to go or if we sell him. And it's actually big up football fans. That's why that's why I brought it up, man. No. Yes and no.
No also.
No, for yes, for a couple of reasons, in a sense that I don't think Kivior should be the first through the door. shouldn't be the first that's sold. But I think it's all fun and games saying sell Zinchenko, sell Tomiyasu, sell Kai Havertz, sell this one, sell that one for a variety of reasons. I don't know if they got a market, they're either injured, they own big money. Kivior, even before he got his little run in this squad, he seemed to always have interest from Italy, right? You could argue his stock is at the highest. So from a business point of view, I can't say it doesn't make sense. From a squad point of view, obviously, we don't know if Magalhaes is going to have any issues being back. We need him to stay. And I just think he's got a newfound confidence. I do think it comes down to if Kivior wants to leave. I don't know if he feels, you know what, I feel like I'm here now. Arteta maybe understands this season. He can trust me more, rotate more. Or if he's been saying, you know what, I've got my confidence now. I'm playing in my position. I've played against Real Madrid. These teams in Italy are onto me. So World Cup year next year, I want to go there, you know, in the best shape of my life. We're kind of reliant on that. I wouldn't, but I could understand if we need to tick the balance sheet because he seems like one of the only players we've got that genuinely has some sort of market if tabloids are to be expected. Apparently, we're asking for 60 million. Like, crazy, isn't it?
Honestly, he is at least worth 40 to 50 million. 60 million is a stretch, but we're basically saying if you want him, you have to come and take him.
And we're probably intentionally pricing him out and intentionally pricing him out.
If we do replace him, we're gonna probably replace him with that mosquito guy from Valencia. I'm butchering his name. But
so my Moscarera, I can't say either, man. I can't say either. I think David Ornstein or one of them athletic journalists, they said like we're still looking for a young defender in the mold, of Hudson. So we'll have to see. I want to keep Kivior though, but it all depends. I just think we're reliant on him in it. Like we're reliant on does he think he's going to play? So yeah, I'll give most improved player to Kivior. Young player this season, really, it's just Lewis Skelly. Shout out Wanyeri, but it's undoubtedly Miles Lewis Skelly. Do you disagree? Is there any objections to that?
There's no disagreement here. I agree.
Fair. So yeah, that's the short and sweet, easiest one. Player of the season.
Player of the season, Gabriel. I rate Declan Rice, but I think on the run of who was the most consistent performer from the beginning to the end when they played, it was Gabriel for me. And I think he should also be in the Premier League team of the season.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's a techie one, man, because on one hand, I feel Miles Lewis Skelly could not only get young player, he could get player of the season. As you said there, that would have been my one. Magalhaes has been playing out of his skin. We miss him. I think Partey's gone under the radar. I think Raya's gone under the radar, even to a degree. Well, I don't believe it with these names as well, but even Timber's probably gone over the radar. Maybe Rice has thrown a late entry into that with what he's done. Maybe Raheem Sterling. There's got to be a correlation with getting Sterling and us getting to a semi-finals. I got to gas up my Jamaican tug, but in fact, yeah, that's a bit harsh on Odegaard. You know, disappointment of the season. I go Sterling, but I'll give it Gabriel.
No. But what did you expect from Sterling?
Nothing. But you lot were telling me Arteta's work with him. He can get the magic out. He could do this a bit more. I didn't expect much, but like, I'm still disappointed. Everybody knows how much of a fan I am of Raheem Sterling and everything he's gone through, and you know the fact that he's Jamaican and London and all of that. And I weren't expecting much. You were just
Did he grow up in your area or something? You seem to have a very close connection.
He's a yard man. What do you mean? That's right. He's a yard man. He's a player he's a player that's responded to racism and all of that stuff and everything he's done in his career. I wanted it to work to some degree. Clearly, he's finished, but I didn't expect him to be amazing. In hindsight, you're probably just replacing Reece Nelson, but. Yeah, like, come on, like, Sterling is horrible. I know the manager's not trusted you at times or whatever, but come on. Undoubtedly, you are probably the worst loan signing we've probably got. And I'm not saying
we've had worse. Dennis Suarez.
We've not had worse loan signings than Sterling. Who?
Dennis Suarez.
Dennis Suarez better than him. What has Sterling done? And I'm not. It's trash versus garbage, but Dennis Suarez was better than him. The bars on the floor, the bars in hell.
Bro.
He was better than him.
No.
He was better than
Sterling, that one League Cup game was better than anything Dennis Suarez ever did.
Nah, man. Sterling shit, man. Sterling was shit. I can't lie to you. Sterling, yeah, I expected a bit more. But you need trust. In hindsight, he was probably just replacing Reece Nelson. I think Arteta looked at it as between him and Edu and whoever, we probably, pardon my language, we fucked up in the summer. Someone's better than no one. I know him through his time at City, so I think he's a decent player and he's not a bad egg. Let's just get it through the door. And
you know how
the best thing...
Dennis Suarez played 6 games for Arsenal.
I rate Dennis Suarez a lot more than I have for Raheem Sterling. I can't lie.
Where is he playing now?
I don't know. It's probably where Sterling needs to go join him. The Saudi clubs are probably not even gonna even go for Raheem Sterling.
To be
I feel
fair,
sorry for him.
he played 21 games for Villarreal this season.
That's where Dennis Suarez is. Big him up. Talk about punching. Man. But yeah, man. Moving on from that, obviously, how do you feel about this? Obviously, injuries play a key part, but Arsenal finished a league campaign without a single player scoring 10 or more goals for the first time since 1923-24.
You know what the
No,
problem is?
sorry to cut you, Egal. Yeah, no disrespect to Kim Strong. We know what he did in our FA Cup run. We can't diss him, even if he weren't good. But go ahead.
We know what we need to do. Go address it. Simple. You see this, you know what you need to do. As for the attacking woes, also tactically, Arteta needs to do more. But the reality is, Kai Havertz, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, all getting injured led to this record being what it is. If they were fit for even 2 more games, I don't doubt Kai Havertz gets 1 more goal. I don't doubt Saka gets 2 more goals. I got people freaking doing Amad Diallo and Kai Saka combined stat comparisons. Like, what are we doing here? At this point, all these guys need to step it up next year, and they need to basically take this year as like brush it off and say, you know what, we go again next year. And this stat, it's an ugly stat, but you know something? Watch us next year have 5 players in double-digit goals.
I hope so. What you think we're gonna get five players in double digits?
Yeah, think about it. We have
So
Saka.
I'm gonna assume a new striker, Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else?
The left
Right,
winger.
maybe Rice.
The left winger.
The left winger. That's 3.
That's 3. I'm gonna have Odegaard back in there, getting
I
double-digit
hope so.
goals. And then the last one is going to be, what do you call it? Either Rice or another rotating attacker, maybe Kai Havertz.
I'm gonna put my eggs in the rice basket. Still, I'm gonna put my rice in the thingy basket. Just, I think everybody knows, but obviously you're referring to all comps, right?
No. I'm saying Premier League alone, we should be able to get.
So all these 5 are gonna back double digits in the Prem.
Yeah, we should be able to get double-digit goals from Odegaard.
Inshallah, my guy.
We should be able to get double-digit goals from another. We should be able to get at least 5 players double-digit goals. If we're going to go on to push on to win the league, we need at least 50+ goals from 5 players minimum.
Fair. I hope you're right, man, especially where Odegaard's concerned. Now, obviously, we've gone 3 years finishing second, yeah, but apparently the only time Arsenal have ever finished second in 3 consecutive seasons, they went on to win the league the following year. How you feeling about that? Is it a good omen?
I'm sick and tired of these things. Just win. Just win. Honestly, I could sit here and be like, guys, this is inspirational. Look at this. But then am I going to lie to you? No. Let's be real. I like this stuff. I use it to kind of motivate myself, cope. But right now, thinking back, I did a TikTok on it. I watched it back, and I'm like, I look so desperate.
You can't, but at the end of the day, one thing people can't say about you, Egal, you can be right, you can be wrong like every human, but you wear your heart on your sleeve, man. Like, no one can, in my opinion, dish your love for the club. You're a madman, but your heart is in the right place. And again, it takes a serious man to say I was wrong. Like, especially in this football content game, nobody wants to be wrong. If I had an opinion in 2022 about a player, it's now 2025. I've got to have the same kind of thingy. It's not making no sense. But that's football, man. This is the industry we live in. As long as they're hitting like buttons, they're subscribing, and they're talking, whether they're calling you an idiot or me an idiot or a genius, as long as they're speaking, man. So, yeah, man. But and they actually, ironically, they say you're toxic positive. You just said you had little time for this, but people have whatever they have in it. They're gonna.
Hey, I do use it to try to like make me feel better, but that's pretty much it. That's all it is.
How do you feel about this? Yeah, because there are no current rumblings of frustration from the Arsenal board regarding Mikel Arteta. He's extremely liked and respected, and the talk that he has to win a trophy next season is somewhat overblown. So if we assume the last paragraph, it's not necessary. It's not guaranteed. You don't know what's guaranteed in life. It's not guaranteed that we're going to win silverware. But if we have a season like this, excluding the injuries, just look at semi-finals, second, etc., he's not necessarily going to be under any pressure. Is that a good or bad thing?
From what he said about Šeško Gyökeres tells me he's not telling us the full story, because he said in the Šeško Gyökeres article that Arsenal don't have time and that's why they're going for Gyökeres. But all of a sudden he's saying Arsenal don't have pressure on Arteta. 2 things might be true at the same time, but there's definitely pressure from the higher ups to start seeing the fruits of our labors.
You
And
really
I
reckon?
do think, Arteta, I do think Kroenke being there, watching the women's team winning a trophy of that magnitude
Big them up.
with the interim manager, and also him firing his coach in the NBA and seeing their team getting to like the almost getting one game away from getting to a Western Conference final. I do think he does view it as like, you know what, I can make a change and the team would just be just as good. Now, I don't think Arteta's going anywhere, but I do think they're kind of trying to put out fires before the media catches on.
Should there be pressure on him for you?
100%. And he feels the pressure because the way that he's speaking recently is a lot more with urgency and less about the future. I don't hear as much talk about future from Arteta. I hear more about we need to win, we need to deliver.
It's a
And
bit weird for me again. I must admit, I'm a bit mixed with it because I actually feel Arteta has internal pressure on himself. Like I can criticize, and I've criticized everyone. I can criticize how he's done certain things, but I think he wants to win. I do think there's a bit of frustration with certain practices that we're doing at the club and not acting in January or whatever. That doesn't go far for me because fundamentally you took the job, you know your employers, and you liked it so much that you signed a new deal. So you have to get over the line. I think he's got pressure. I hear your point, and I don't doubt that, but he survived muckier times. This is almost rich people's problems. We're talking about not necessarily getting over the line. I don't know if, God forbid, but the December period, it's looking like the league's a write-off if they're going to rip up his deal and his coaching staff who have just signed new deals. Bert has just come in as well. And at the end of the day, yeah, he's got to the semi-finals of the Champions League in his second year. That's probably got some financial stuff that the Kroenke is going to benefit from. There's more Premier League money. As much as there's, you know how the camps are at Arsenal. You've got those like myself that can see good and bad, those that are on the positive thing, those that are on the negative thing. So my thing is, imagine we have a year exactly like this. Forget the injuries and everything. 2 semi-finals, go out the FA Cup, the league, you're just second. We don't need to get into the isms and schisms. Is everybody going to be unanimously in agreement that Arteta, you might not be the guy to get us over the line? I don't know. I don't know, Egal.
it's up to him. Honestly, it's up to him. If he introduces new training methods, if he introduces new ways of recovery for the team, hopefully we won't see the same level of injuries. If he realizes that there's things that he can improve on also, you will be able to see better fruits of our labors. I don't think Arteta's faultless. He needs to go to a drawing board and look at what mistakes he made this season and address them too. But the team, the number one way we improve is we first go out in the transfer window and get the best players available.
Mm-hmm.
Enough about development, enough about potential impact. I don't want to hear about that. I want to see the best player available, not the player who fits the best, because the player who fits the best is not necessarily the player who's going to get you the most output.
Do you think that's a completely off topic? Yeah, but do you obviously a manager needs his players, but I do think it divides opinion. Do you think we more need the players that are good for Arsenal, or do we still need to keep finding players that kind of fit the system? Because we are a bit rigid, and I think in the final third, I'm not a manager, but I just think Arteta needs to find that balance of I pre-predict things, I know what's going on, but just kind of taking away to give a lot more. Let the attackers in the remits, like they might have 9 things, there might be 10 things that you need these attackers to do on a football pitch, and they're doing all 10. But do you say, you know what, I'm gonna make you do these 9 things, but that one, I'm gonna let you lot have that. You lot thrive in the final third.
Bro, you get I know that's not FIFA, but you get the highest rated player you can get. You get the player with who's more complete, ready to go, and is going to help you win now. Enough about looking at if this man Šeško is 2 years away from being an elite 30 goal a season striker, but Gyökeres can deliver next season, we go get Gyökeres. If you think the left winger Gittins, who's 20 years old, might be the guy who could become a top talent in 3 years' time, but if we can get Rodrigo, pay more money, and he's ready to go now to help us deliver trophies, we go and get the Rodrigo to help us go and deliver trophies now. If you think Odegaard is going to be at his best next season, and you trust Max Dowman and you trust Ethan, fair. But if you want the team to deliver silverware and continue to push on, it might be beneficial for us to go and get an additional number attacking player like a Eze, like somebody else like that, also to come into this team. And still you'll be able to give those youngsters game time because there will be injuries, there will be opportunity. You need to understand that the best teams have multiple players in multiple positions, and there's not an argument about
Facts.
why do you need these many players. If we sign a right winger, I don't want to hear people crying about, well, will he start over Saka? Stop it. I think the mentality as a fan base and the mentality as a club has been wrong for way too long. For the last 5 to 7 years, we have had a mentality where if we bring in a player, if they're not starting, we need to debate why we are even signing them.
Yeah, but
And I
that's the
think,
thing, Egal, man. Arsenal fans, I do think Arsenal fans, unfortunately, can be hypocrites in a sense of they cry about depth, they cry and cry about depth. And in an ideal world, we want two players of two positions.
and then they
Then
cry,
when
why are we signing a goalkeeper? Like, shut up.
exactly no, but then you get periods where quote unquote everyone's kind of fit. Like Timber might be fit and starting, Ben White might be on the bench. You start doing this, oh, Ben White is done. We need competition, and if anybody has learned, didn't know the depth. Look at this season, how it all panned out. Like if this is the biggest kind of case study. I slightly disagree with what you said, but I agree. I think you should always future proof. But I do think, and where I agree with you, and you're right in that, keep signing guys for the future, but there needs to be more of an emphasis on right now, delivering right now. I'm actually cool with Gyökeres is my first target. I'm not as aggressive or against Šeško as some say, because if you don't get them, you're gonna have to be able to pivot elsewhere. And kind of what you said at the start of the stream, like we're gonna have to be able to pivot because it's all only one team. Well, they can get more than one player, but Gyökeres can only go one place. Šeško can only go one place. If you don't get them two strikers, God forbid, for whatever reason, you need to bring me a next one. I don't want to hear we tried. I've heard about powders dry and all of those kind of stuff, and we can spend peas and whatnot. That's why I actually think we're linked with all of these players, because I remember an article coming out that Berta's speaking to many people and he's just being able to pivot. So that's what we got to do. But there
Can I
should
say
be
something? You know the title of the video, Benjamin Šeško, 92.5 million.
mad thing.
I will tell you right now, if you find that article, they are trying to prize him away. What they're doing is they put the price so high because they know how good of a talent he is, but at the same time, they don't want to let him go for in and around 60, 70. So they're basically saying, come get him now, or else we're going to keep him for another year, try to get back into the champs next year, and we can then sell him still for like a 70 or 80 million next year. So they're like, I think RB Leipzig are trying to prize everybody out of a move for him this window so they can keep him. And if he does ball out, somebody will still come and purchase him for a ridiculous price next year.
Fair. I personally think, yeah, that's a point. I think it's a thing where they're looking at Premier League clubs. Obviously, I don't know how much his release clause is, but it's less than this. Nobody wants to run them all of that money all in one go. So I think they're saying, do you know what? If you pay a bit more, we'll structure the payment terms in whatever. And it piggybacks on what you said in that, whatever people say, the man's stock is rising. He was wanted by bare clubs last year. He was pictured at his agent was at Old Trafford, at Chelsea's ground and asked. People are probably still sniffing. No doubt they'll sniff you next year. I would love Gyökeres. There's reality. We get Gyökeres. Šeško goes and becomes the best thing since sliced bread, and we wonder what if. But I just want a right now one, and I wonder. I would love to be a fly on the wall at London Coley, because I've never had a conversation with Arteta or Berta or any of them guys. Yeah, but it felt like prior to Berta, Partey was probably going to leave. Trossard was probably going to leave. Partey wasn't going to be given a new deal. Šeško would have probably been the main target and is still linked with us. Where Berta's come in now, and you see it with the David Ornsteins, I think it's him pivoting a bit more to the Gyökereses, to keeping Trossard, to Partey. And I get that as a kind of a sense of, that's more of the win now mode thing that I want to say. And that, Arsenal
like
find stars tomorrow and that, guys, for right now. So
I like that. Also, the Julian Alvarez stuff, I think is BS. I'm sorry.
We'll go over that, man. We need structure, my boy. We need structure. And what? We've got to discuss this, man. Because before I ask you your opinions, I don't know if people have been living under a rock and they haven't seen what Thierry Henry said or Arteta's in relation to Arteta. So I'm just going to read it out, people. The last 3 years, we have been in a situation where we should at least bring a cup to the club or be in a final. Man United played 5 finals in their last 5 years. The United that everybody laughs at in the last 3 years of building, Arsenal didn't reach a final. This year, we didn't compete with Liverpool. I don't know what people think, but we didn't compete, not once. I agree with that. I'm not saying this season was a disappointment. Yes, it was. But it's normal that people are raising questions now about what the team is doing. What do you feel about that?
I think he's right about the cup part. Definitely, he's right about the cup part. The last 3 years, we should have maybe at least been into a final, but we did compete for the league for 2 out of those 3 years. So I do think you should acknowledge that. at some point throughout this conversation. He went on to finish with, "Oh, we didn't compete this year." I get that, but at least mention, because I view challenging for the league as good as getting to a final and losing, because both of them you're still competing for a major honor. You just unfortunately neither one did you win. Would it be better if we didn't compete last year but we got to a FA Cup final? Would it be better this season that we didn't win the league but we ended up getting to a Champions League final? Maybe, but I don't think it's that far off from each other. Getting to a final or getting or competing for the league. I would actually say competing for the league and getting to a final day and losing is more of a shows more of the character and development of the squad than reaching a FA Cup or League Cup final and not winning.
I can't lie, man. I personally think the media has done what they're gonna do, and they're just schemed around getting clicks and engagement and whatever. Because when you actually watch it or listen to what he said, I actually don't think he said anything wrong. I think he was quite critical of Arteta. I actually think he gave him his praise, and I think he raised some valid questions. And for me, I don't think there's anything wrong in that. If the manager is so good, if our players are so good, yeah, there's been injuries in that. But if man rate this team so much, why is it not a fair question to say in the league, like you said, you can equate that to being in the final, why we haven't got over the line or where the cups are? There's a lot of explaining. And, you know, if we really believe Arteta's comments about we were the best team in the Champions League, I think it's fair to then ask, why have we not won that? If we said, it weren't even Arsenal fans, not last year, the year before when we missed out to City, we're saying we've been the best team in the league, yada, yada, yada. Why didn't we get over the line? The year before that, fair enough, it was our first year, but we led for about 200 days. Why didn't we get over the line? Is it not fair to ask if the gaffer's this good and this player is great and this and that, and we've got great top six record, we're improving in the, you know, Arteta's second year in the Champions League, he's been to semis and quarters. Is it not fair to then say, like, right, get over the line?
No, that's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
Fair
wrong
enough.
with that. The only part I'm saying is I feel like he's being a little he's being a little disingenuous, saying we didn't compete, we didn't get to a final, but competing for the league, I would say, shows a lot of the character that he's asking for.
Yeah, you know what? When I watched Dan Potts' segment with you, I mean, like now that I've actually heard your comments, fair, but he sounded a lot more critical, man. Fair enough.
No, I was more critical about the Raheem Sterling part. I
What, where
thought
he
that
talked about
part,
number 9?
I thought that part was ridiculous.
Why?
Because he's categorically wrong.
How?
If you have the quote, you can pull it up. He goes into the fact that we didn't sign a striker and says Arteta wanted Raheem Sterling and all this other stuff. Where is it? You want me to try to find it?
This is just. I was going to ask you this, but you kind of spoke about getting over the line earlier. It's just obviously it's without context, but Arteta does need to prove he's a winner.
Found it here if you want it.
Yeah, send it, because we're just not getting over the line.
Let me send it to you. So yeah, it's pretty much he went in on Arteta talking about we all wanted a number 9 and he got Raheem Sterling. It's like, what are we doing here? At this point,
but Arsenal did though, man. What's wrong with that? We all wanted a 9, and Arsenal, whether that's Arteta, Edu,
no, he's saying on Arteta, he said he got Raheem Sterling.
You haven't sent it. Have you sent it?
I sent it to you. I sent it to you in your DM.
Oh, this guy.
My bad.
Could have made it easier, Mike. Well, it's cool. I mean,
you wanted me to put it in the private chat.
No, carry on speaking. You're going to lose your point, man. The fans are listening.
All right. So Thierry Henry on Arteta, he got Raheem Sterling when everybody wanted a 9. He had time to get a 9. The club did. Time. I'm not the coach. I don't know the discussions. Everyone was screaming or a 9, apart from when we won against Real Madrid, of course, right? But we don't need a 9. It's like, what is he keep talking about a striker? Obviously Arteta wants a striker. Obviously Arteta wanted a striker. Obviously, when Raheem Sterling signs for the club, you're going to give it the rah. I believe in him. I believe he can do it. I believe we got ourselves somebody who can make our team better. We were desperate. At that point of the window, we were so desperate. Even what do you call it? Edu came out and said he was not part of the plans. But now I think we got ourselves somebody who has experience, knows the manager, knows the Premier League, he's kind of a Premier League proven. Let's see what he can do. And in my opinion, It was throw the darts, try to get something out of nothing. We had at that point it was either get nobody in to give us no squad depth or get Raheem Sterling in. At the end of the day, we got Raheem Sterling in, and he basically was equivalent to getting nobody in because he didn't really offer us much for the majority of the season. I personally think Arteta getting criticism for Raheem Sterling signing for the club is ridiculous. Arteta getting criticism for a striker not signing for the club is also ridiculous because he wanted Isak, he wanted Dusan Vlahovic, he ended up getting Jesus. He wanted a striker in the January window. He didn't get the striker he wanted in the January window. He said on numerous occasions in press conferences, did I say I don't want a striker? When did I say I don't want a striker?
Yeah, in the last 6 to 8 months, he's been a lot more aggressive on the striker front. I disagree where he shouldn't get criticism on it, because obviously I know his quote unquote his hands might have been tied or whatever. But in the same way, if Raheem Sterling was the best thing since sliced bread, I would be praising you, and I'm sure many people would be saying the manager's good and whatnot. So we can't just absolve Mikel Arteta of anything from Raheem Sterling. I do think a tiny bit of disingenuousness from that. And then I disagree in the sense of, you know how I said earlier about one thing I need from Berta is to be able to pivot, because Arsenal get into this weird trap of we're linked with a bunch of players. Then it seems like we only want one. Sometimes we get the player. If not, we don't. In last summer, Šeško. Now, I don't know if Šeško they were really aggressive on that. But if they come to a consensus on Šeško, or even this summer, they've known they've needed a striker for a while, and there might have been other kind of options. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm
You
not
know what
saying it should
happened
have.
with Šeško, right?
Yeah, we know what happened with Šeško, but that's my point. Šeško said, I want to stay. If he was really that aggressive on wanting the striker, Šeško cannot be the only forward you wanted. Could you have died? And I'm not saying signing Marino was bad. I'm not saying signing Calafiori was bad. Could you have pivoted your budget to somebody like that, to a more developmental signing, which even that could have helped us?
I think we lied. If we lied to Šeško and told him he's the number one starter, we would have got him. I think
We should have. And if he's scared of Kai Havertz, I'm looking at Šeško funny. And this is from someone who rates it.
we should have took a book out of Chelsea's book and just been like, hey, come here, you're one of our guys, and then that player ends up finding himself on the bench and they'll be surprised. But regardless, we're not ruthless when it comes to our transfer window. We're not ruthless in how we deal with players and agents. We're more like buddy, too friendly, too kind, too much wanting relationships. Like, who cares about your relationship with Brighton or this club? Get us the player. Like, I don't give a shit about your relationship with Brighton. If you would have got us Caicedo 2 years ago, we wouldn't be trophyless right now.
And this is why I keep saying I just need an ability to pivot. If you get Gyökeres or Šeško, I'm happy as Larry. If you do this, that, the other, don't come and tell me when the window closed, we tried, powder dry, market opportunity. It's a bit, I have no doubt you tried, but then there's another sense of it. Did you get it done or not? It's just like, I have no doubt the players and everybody tried to win it. I can criticize how you went about it, but we tried to win trophies. We didn't do it. So you need to hold the licks appropriately and move forward with that. But yeah, that's Thierry Henry, man. You know, again, people would always hate on it. People would hate Egal. I don't think Egal said anything quite critical. I've seen a lot more BS on social media about Thierry Henry, about, oh, where would you be? What have you done in your career? You're right. As a manager, Henry ain't done nothing. But if Henry, a former player, cannot have an opinion on football matters, Egal, myself, everybody in the comments, might as well shut the hell up then. It's
yeah,
not
you know
making
something?
sense.
When you disagree with somebody, be it a club legend or be somebody who hasn't done shit for your club, like William Gallas, regardless,
Nah, fuck Gallas, $1,000,000%.
I will call them out if I disagree.
Well,
I don't think anyone should be untouchable. Arteta, if Arteta and the players are not untouchable, why should somebody who no longer plays for the club be untouchable?
He shouldn't be untouchable, but like, I don't think you've disagreed with anything Henry said apart from the Sterling thing. Everything else, it sounds bang on. Let me, because I know you're going to do your own stream here. I want to race through 1-2 things quickly. Andrea Berta is hoping to have 2 or 3 major signings completed early in the window, including Martin Zubimendi and Gyökeres. Do you see that happening?
Make it happen. I believe him, and I hope he does.
You're saying for Zubimendi, man, it's not done, but it seems like medicals and whatnot. Do you think this is a blockbuster signing? Are you finally happy to see this put to bed? Where are you at with it?
The second best line-breaking passer in the world. I'm happy.
Who's first?
Pedri.
Fair enough. Why do you think he's the second best line-breaking midfielder?
Statistically, that's what he's been across Europe for the last 2 years.
Is that what you believe, though?
No, that's what the stats tell you.
No, but is that what you believe?
I believe
Stats
it.
cool. Stats could tell us bare stuff. Stats tell us we ain't got no defensive issues. Where I can know with my eyes we do. Do you
Hey,
believe?
I might not believe Pedri is the best midfielder in the world, but
I do.
right now, Zubimendi, if he's in the same breath as him, I believe he's gonna come into our team and change our transition, change the way we build up, change how we attack, how we build up play, and I do view him as a younger Jorginho. So shout out to Zubimendi.
So with your eyes, you don't quite think he's the best line breaker, but you
I
rate him
haven't
with
seen
the
enough,
statistics you do.
unfortunately. I haven't watched enough. I can't
Well, you're
tell
gonna
you.
get to see a lot, my guy.
I haven't
Hopefully.
watched
Let's not
enough.
get excited, but hopefully.
This picture already.
All right, cool. It says with Xabi Alonso keen to, we're gonna get onto Rodrigo, but long story short, yeah, forget the Rodrigo comment. You got Rafael, you got Nico Williams, you got Mbuemo, you got Gittins. Which one you going for?
Sorry to the English brother, but I'm not interested in Gittins. I'm not really 100% sold on Nico Williams. It's going to come down to Rafael Leal or Mbuemo. I'm not sure if Mbuemo is more of a right winger than a left winger. I haven't seen him play on the left that often. It really then leaves us with only Rafael Leal. Rafael Leal might not be the most clinical, the best option when it comes to scoring goals and getting assists, but what he can be a maverick, he can change the game. I really do think it's really down to Nico Williams or Rafael Leal, but I'm not sold on Nico Williams. I would probably be more interested in Rafael Leal. How much would he cost? Maybe he'll probably cost the most out of everybody on this list. But yeah, once again, don't be surprised if he comes in with high expectations and he does not reach them, because Leal is a little bit of a hit or miss player at
Hot and
times.
cold.
Yeah, he's kind of like Rashford. He can change a game, win you a game by himself. Instead of these guys, why don't we just go for somebody who can play in the 10 and on the left wing? Go
We're
get
gonna
me
get we're gonna get onto that, my guy. Trust me. I know who you're referring to. I agree with you. I think with Leao, I think the raw materials are there. It's just consistency. There's no point having 5 good games and then 10 games you're gonna be dead, or you might score a goal, but 90 minutes you're ineffective. I do think he's got that X factor, and if we can harness that, great. Obviously, the caveat is it comes with a lot of money spent. It seems like Arteta really wants Nico Williams. I don't think he's as good as people make out, but I think he's a bloody good option. Gittins, I hear it. If you can't get the other two, you might as well. For me, it'd be Mbuemo. You know, I think I've seen them. Obviously, I'm not watching AC Milan as much as I'm watching the Premier League, but and you made a valid comment about the left-hand side, yeah. But for me, Mbuemo, you get me Gyökeres and Mbuemo, I think we can do stuff, man. I'm more looking at having a stronger like group of attacking players. So that was interesting. Thomas Partey is renewing his deal. I'm not going to ask you for that. We've
great
gone over
news.
that. Are you having Julian Alvarez? Omri's said that he's a
I'll
complete
take him,
striker.
but I don't think it's going to happen. Also, I kind of view him in the similar mold of Jesus. I'm sick and tired of strikers who are not really strikers. They're second strikers. Get me somebody who's going to be in the box and is going to score goals. I don't want somebody coming building up every 2 seconds. I'm sorry. I'm not 100% sold on Julian Alvarez. I don't think he's as good as a finisher as Gyökeres, and I don't think he's an actual number 9. I view him as a second striker. How many times are we going to go for second strikers? If you want a second striker, don't get me somebody. Go get me somebody at least tall. I want somebody who's going to be a force in the box. Somebody who's going to be able to get that ball and put it in the back of the net, has the ability to finish with both feet, and is not going to be like, hey, well, they're too busy doing their job outside the box. No, I'm sick of that. We've had Lacazette, we've had Jesus. I don't want no more of those guys.
Finally, then, Sane.
It's not happening. I don't want him. And I think that we need to stop focusing on players who are trying to clearly use our club as a way to get a new contract. They're using Arsenal to get a new contract. That's literally what he's doing.
In fact, finally, how confident are you in your heart about Gyökeres signing for us? Obviously, you're just a fan.
I want to get a Victor Gyökeres shirt right now.
Fair play. Is he the one for you? Like, proper the one?
Finishes well with both feet. He's a really good passer. One of the best passing strikers options out there right now, actually. In the final third, he creates almost 2 chances a game. He's not only is he a good passer, he on the break he offers us more transition threat. He's a good presser. The only weakness he has is he's not good in the air, and he's not really good with his back to goal. But he's no Lukaku.
I don't know about
He's really good with his feet. I've watched so many breakdowns of him, Šeško, Ekitike. Like literally yesterday, I had 2 hours where I was just watching breakdowns of all these guys. And from what I've seen about Victor Gyökeres, I do think his strengths could benefit our team. And I do think his weaknesses, we have other players who can do that. We have Havertz who can get knockdowns and
might be the
headers.
first choice striker, regardless.
We have Mikel Moreno who could do that job also from midfield. We have other players in the team who can win the long balls from the keeper. We don't necessarily need him to do that all the time. But yeah, I'm happy with Gyökeres. I'll take him in a heartbeat, and I do think he comes into our team with the mentality. And the most important thing about him is if he can transition his clinical edge over to the Premier League, because the physicality of the Premier League, they're going to try to barge him, push him, get closer to him, which has been difficult for him. But he can finish with both feet, and he's an amazing ball striker. Strong, powerful ball striking. I would compare him to like an Alan Shearer type ball striker, and less of like some of these other guys nowadays who don't take the ball, and when he shoots, it hits the ball at the back of the net hard and fast. Like you can hear the net. That's how it is.
I think the only issue he would struggle with is, well, the only concern with Gyökeres is, can you equate that form from Portugal into England? I'm not expecting you to have the monster numbers you have, and every signing can go wrong, but I think he's got the experience. He's had some good moments. He's had some bad. I've seen enough from his general play. I mean, you can improve with your head, great, and all of that. But I don't really care about you scoring headers. You can do everything else. I'm not saying this without claim, but I do think fans get into this trap here of, always picking little things that a player can't do. There has to be an element of judging them for what they are. I've seen enough. I mean, the sample size isn't big, and you didn't do anything against us, but I saw little moments when we battered Sporting. You had a great game against City. So, yeah, man, bring Gyökeres. Gyökeres is my first choice.
I just seen your message. Let me just put this.
But if you don't get Gyökeres, I'm past the. Obviously, we're not going to get Isak, but Isak, Gyökeres, Hugo Ekitike, this one, that one.
I think Newcastle should sell Isak, and I think Arsenal should not go for Isak anymore. Because Isak, with his injury record and the amount of money that people are going to be spending on him, I could see Isak going somewhere and breaking down and not being able to play the amount of games.
Come on. One, I don't think Newcastle are selling him. Two, Isak would be a bloody good addition for half the teams. And I hear you with the injury concerns, but when last did you hear Donny had a long-standing injury? Come on, Egal, man.
I'm just saying, like,
yeah, come on. Isak would be sexy for our football club.
Hey,
imagine him wearing 14.
Probably the best option, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I gotta go, bro.
Yeah, man. People, we've overran now. Let's share well, what do you call this again, Egal? Hyperlink thing. Him and Dan Potts are going to be speaking. I'll be tuned in. Well, with my earpods. Egal, you know, it's always love. We're back. I'm on Egal's channel on Monday, time TBC, but follow on the socials and we'll be there, man. So on that note, peace, people. One love. Back again with Southern Gooner at 4 p.m.